Hello, I'm Charmagne Everett. Some people call me Dr. E, some people call me Miss E, some people call me Maine, but you can just call me Charmagne for all intents and purposes of this conversation. I really wanted to take the time to share how I got here, but in order to share how I got here, we have to go back just a little bit. And a lot of you may or may not know, recently we were blessed to have a son. He's now 3 months old. But his arrival and getting here and really how all of this, God brought this to fruition, I think is important. If you are a mother in waiting, if you are someone in waiting of birthing a process, I really want to encourage you. It's not going to look like what you may think it looked like because, we may have our plans, but God orders our steps. God has been an integral part of my life, my entire life. I came from a PK family, right? But that didn't always mean I walked with him. I really had to learn and know the Lord and build a relationship with myself, for myself, with him through trials and tribulations. And sometimes I was very lukewarm, but the trials and tribulations really helped me to trust God and really understand he's the author and the finisher of everything, no matter what it looks like. So I am acting out of obedience. I always said I would share when the time was right, not when I felt like it was right, but when the Lord said, it's time for you to speak. And now is the time for me to speak. So I want to share with you all how we got here with the promise of Phil. What does that look like? This banner, what does that even mean, right? My oldest asked me, why did you choose those words? And I didn't choose them. The Lord gave them to me as a sign of a covenant. Been married for 7 years, will be 8 at the end of this month. And I have a child. I had a child previously from a relationship. I was never married prior to that. So I was a single parent and she's now 17. She's getting ready to graduate from high school. And it's all the feels, right, of surrender and letting go, because now when my parents say they worry about me, I used to never understand that. When I'm traveling back and forth, I'm like, I'm good, I'm grown, I got this. But now that I have a child that's getting ready to leave my home, you never stop caring for or worrying, I should say. We know we don't worry, but in flesh we do, about your child and their next steps and where they are and who they're around and what that consumes. And so this process has been fun as far as the next steps go. And seeing that felt like I was just holding her in my arms several years ago. Now she's going to be walking across the stage in just a few months. It does something to me. And I ain't got no tissues around here. And I have the lashes on that she gave me. We're going to keep those on. So we're not going to do any tears today. But I was a single parent. And walking that journey and trying to figure that out and navigate that, I had to learn a lot of things the hard way. But I said that to say, when I met my husband, she was 8 years old. So fast forward, right, to about 2020. And I was feeling kind of bad physically. I had some cramping and headaches and things of that nature. And I'm a person, if y'all know, I don't like medication. Like, I just like to lay down and go to sleep. I'm a ginger ale, like just figure it out kind of girl. We're not going to take all the things. We're going to figure it out and maybe go see a doctor when it's life-threatening. I was having a lot of heavy bleeding and I didn't know why. So I went to see a doctor and I found out on November the 2nd of 2020 that I was pregnant. Now, mind you, I was in my 30s, still in my 30s, right, for a few more months. And it was very unexpected because at that time, definitely what family planning, weren't even trying to conceive. And so when I found out that I was pregnant, I was excited. I waited until my husband came home and I let him know, and he was excited as well. And a couple of weeks went by. During that time, prior to that time, I passed a blood clot, and I didn't know what it was. It was excruciatingly painful. I didn't know where it came from. I just recalled that it was just something very, very like an outer body experience. I was sweating, I vomited, and I was like, maybe I just had a stomach bug. Did all the tests. I had the high counts. My HCG levels and things were high. But they couldn't find a fetus. And so a couple of weeks went by, and I had a couple of scans done, and finally it was concluded that I had a miscarriage. And at that time, you never know what you want or what you desire until you don't have it. And I really didn't know how to feel because I had been planning for a baby. We were in the middle of the pandemic, so it was just like, I didn't know what to do with those feelings. So had to have several procedures done. Not one, not two, but three medical procedures done to make sure that everything was out of me and to move forward with that. So that was done. That was a very difficult time because as a woman, when you start having those procedures and people are saying things like, we don't really know what we're operating on, but we're going to try to get everything out and you can't see, and it's like they're playing guessing games with your anatomy, it's problematic, right? It was very invasive for me. It was very painful, and it just was like emotional for me because, again, I had detached myself from, okay, there's no child here. I'm cool with that. But now you got to keep like going inside of me. I'm not cool with that. So that was 2020. So fast forward, I'm like, cool, whatever God's will is God's will. We're not going to question that. Continue to do very well in business, right? I'm a financial services professional. So I had business. My background is in education and mental health. That's been almost 2 decades in my life. So everything was going very well in all the other aspects of my life, traveling, just really enjoying my life. And so fast forward to October or September of 2023, I will say this, we were in a space that definitely we're not planning. And I made that very clear to my husband at that time. No family planning. I had some other things in mind as far as my next steps. I felt like God was leading me to a different space and just to separate myself to start a new chapter. Well, on September the 14th, I knew I had missed my cycle, but I didn't think anything of it because, mind you, 4 years, right, went by and tried, but not tried, if that makes sense, and nothing happened. Even went to a clinic for IVF consultation. I did my part in terms of the blood work and things of that nature, and they discovered I had low vitamin D, but I still didn't think I wasn't discouraged. I just felt like this is not God's will for me to procreate. They had also told me that I probably would not have any more children. I was told that in 2011, and I was told that again on around 2020, 2021. But my name, when we talk about what does your name mean, my name means fruitful land. My name means fruitful land. So I didn't know when. When I graduated with my doctorate, I thought I was going to be carrying a baby across the stage, right? Like, hey, Dr. E. Didn't quite happen like that. So at that time, I'm like, this is not God's will. So I took a test, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4, but 5 tests, and they came out positive. Now, this is after a medical professional, more than one, told me I wasn't going to have any more children. So I laughed, right? I literally laughed like Sarah did. Sarah in the Bible, she was 90 years old. She was like, God, what? A baby? I laughed because I'm like, this wasn't my plan. I have some other things I'm going to be doing. It's time to move in a different direction. So I let my husband know, we're expecting, and he was pretty excited, but it still was very surreal for me. I never forget, I went to an event, and the first person that I told was one of my very good friends. And she said to me, both her and her husband said that I was glowing. And I'm like, all right. So they were the first persons that I told. I had to let them know. And from then on, I continued to hear that throughout my pregnancy, how much I was glowing, how much I just looked so happy. And it was the joy of the Lord. It was definitely the joy of the Lord. From 2020 to 2024, I did a lot of the heart work and the self-work. I got, I guess you could say, hired someone to coach me through some things. I did do therapy as well. For me, it was not helpful. I remember seeing the therapist yawning in one of my sessions, and I was like, this ain't it. Because if I'm boring you for what this costs, I'm okay with that. I'm good on that. So I shifted to more like life coaching, and I'm forever grateful for Apostle Jackie because she really helped me to see who I was in my identity first in Christ. And from there on, it was just up for me. I fell in love with the word. I fell in love with prayer. I fell back in love with worship because I had found myself being like situational. If something happens, I pray. If this has happened, I do this. But it became a lifestyle for me. I dedicated my first 15 minutes of my day to just studying God's word. And then that turned into like 30. It turned into like 45. It turned into an hour. And I was just obsessed with like knowing God more because I felt so much peace. Like all of the things that were happening just seemed so mundane to me. So Apostle Jay, I want to thank you. And the day before I found out I was pregnant, I met with her. And remember, I didn't know anything. And a couple days before that, I had reached out to Pastor Juanita. And to this day, this is going to be her first time hearing this. She told me to turn my plate because I said, Pastor Juanita, listen, there's a lot of moving pieces and I need some spiritual guidance, but also what would you do? And she didn't tell me what to do. She told me to turn my plate. And I said, well, I'm going on fast next month. I will turn my plate then. She said, no, you need to do it immediately. I was obedient because I listen to people who bear fruit. And she is a woman that I trust to cover me. When everyone says they pray for me, I don't trust that. But I do trust the people that the Lord has ordained in my life. And he ordained Pastor Juanita for that season. So I turned my plate. I already had a meeting scheduled with Apostle Jay. Like, okay, it's been a while since we met. I kind of graduated, if you will, from my coaching with her. But I want to check back in. I want to make sure that I'm not responding in my flesh to the things that are happening around me. And I want to make sure that I'm honoring God in this process. And so she gave me some actionable steps, right? This was on September the 13th. She gave me some actionable steps, and it was so. It was on the 14th. I took the test, and it's positive 5 times. Capital P, positive. And so I was like, all right, God, I see you. So, of course, I kept it quiet. I don't think I shared it with anyone the first month, if you will. I then contacted, my mom and some people close to us, but we kept it very chill. And so first trimester was amazing. It was incredible. I traveled. I went to Houston for the first time. I celebrated my cousin's bridal shower. And if you go back to Instagram, now you can see those belly pics. I think I was about 10 weeks there. I had bought this bomb suit and I couldn't button it up, but I didn't bring any extra clothes with me. And I had to stick with the color schemes. I said, we're going to wear this suit. Okay. But it was amazing. I just felt like joy, unspeakable joy. And again, I didn't know the gender. People were asking me questions like, do you know what you're having? No, what do you want to have? And I would just say a healthy baby. That's all, a healthy baby. But then I became specific because I'm like, no, I want a son. I really want God to bless me with a son because I believe that he will, but I also just feel like someone needs to carry the legacy, someone who's going to continue to change lives of others, and someone who's called to a higher purpose. That we don't know what that looks like, but I just wanted a healthy baby. And so the people who did know took very good care of me. When we went to the fast, unfortunately, that is when I scratched my eye. If you all have saw my social media lately, and I had to be taken to urgent care with flames up and things of that nature. But first trimester was a joy. It definitely was peaceful. I wasn't stressed. I just felt so, I can't put it into other words, but peaceful, right? So September, October, November, that was the first trimester. And we had our first doctor's appointment. When it came to seeking a medical professional, I wanted someone who was saved. And I know that's a reach, right? We're in the medical field, people have opinions, but I really wanted someone who openly knew God, because that's important to me. If we're bringing another seed into this world, I need to make sure that we're connected and in alignment with our faith to bring this life earthside. So I started doing my research. I also wanted to have my baby at home. People looked at me. Well, I knew, actually, I didn't, we'll get to that later. I didn't make that known to a lot of people. I talked to my husband about it and see if he asked him, not seesaw. What? Not seesaw. Asked him if he was in agreement with that. He was not radical about it at first, but he respected my wishes and we talked through it. So we went the midwife route. Now, mind you, I had never done this before. My firstborn, born at the hospital, I was induced because I was overdue, right? She came around like 41 weeks. And so I was 22. I didn't know any better. I worked the entire pregnancy. I took off maybe a month before she was born just because I had worked so much. I had cankles. I had been doing the most and I just wanted to rest. This time I worked all the way up until. But nevertheless, we found a professional. I went through the Christian Birth Workers Network and we found a professional. Now, if you want tea and name dropping, I'm not doing all that because of the type of information I'll be sharing. But I found the professional that I thought would be suitable for this process. So we had our first appointment. The pregnancy was confirmed because back up. I went to the OBGYN originally for them to confirm. And they did all you can do this test, you can do this test, you can do this test, et cetera, et cetera. And I left and never came back. One of the reasons I did not want to follow through with OBGYN is because they told me that when it came to delivering my baby, I could be in there with anybody. They didn't have an assigned person to me. So part of having good quality care was I want to deal with one person that can build a relationship with me. I don't want to be hopping around to this person. When my child comes earthside, I want to be able to make sure that we've established rapport and you know me and I know you because you've been looking at me inside out, okay? So I need to make sure that we're on the same page. So we picked a professional, pregnancy was confirmed, and the dialogue was healthy. We talked about minimal appointments as far as invasiveness. That was important to me. I just wanted to have my baby at home at peace and have the least medical interventions as possible, meaning I didn't want a lot of artificial drugs to help the baby come out. I wanted to do my vitamins, drink my water, eat well, exercise. I wanted to just maintain my lifestyle so that I could have a healthy baby. And so God really honored that trimester. Like I said, I was traveling. I was doing all the things. The second trimester was about to be a turn-up time. And I didn't know what was coming up, but I knew that it was God's plan, and I never questioned it.
I wish I could put into words. I can't right now. I turned my plate yesterday after speaking with another woman of wisdom. And I was going to wait till October to fast, but I said, no. I need to do it now. For many things that I was just believing God for, needed clarity for. Had an incredible meeting with Apostle Jay yesterday. More confirmation that the standards are what they are and not wavering from them no matter what is happening. Understanding my value as God's daughter, understanding my worth, and knowing that in order for things to get to next level, for us to be who God called us to be, this has to take place. I kept hearing fruitful land, and my name means fruitful land. Kept hearing fruitful land, seeing it, and my cycle was late. It's been late before, up to 10 days. This time, I felt something in my spirit say, go take a test. Don't wait until the 10th day. Do it on the 7th day. Went and got a test, took the first one, positive. Okay. Took the second one, took the third one, positive. The Lord has shown me He's going to continue to perfect everything concerning me. He's continued to show me that. And I'm just in awe. This does not belong to me. This is His child. And I rest in the promise. He will never leave me nor forsake me. Never. Never. I'll add more later, but that's it.